Neurological stress from strength training is a previously misunderstood area. It was believed that heavy weights at or near 1 rep maximum required long durations of recovery and reduced performance for extended periods. My personal coach often blamed a lag in performance due to central nervous system fatigue. He would say a 1 rep max squat might take a week to recover. World-renowned track coach Charlie Francis often referenced time requirements for central nervous system recovery. His recovery guidelines probably still hold up, but the reasoning may not be correct. Neurological fatigue can be broken down into 3 categories. One comes from the brain and spinal cord itself, the central generator. There is a limit to how much signal can reach the muscles during each task. For example, the load you can take with each limb separately is greater than the load you can take with 2 limbs combined. It is believed this is due to limitations within the central nervous system when a great load is required. Although training does suppress central nervous system output temporarily, it regenerates quickly. Even continuous electrical stimulation for hours at a time doesn't show evidence of long-term central nervous system fatigue. But lifting near maximum load does create psychological fatigue and, of course, joint stress. Vladimir Zatsiorsky referenced Bulgarian national weightlifters who expressed periods of reduced motivation to train, a reduction in well-being, and even a depressive state. These are common symptoms from using frequent maximum lift. CNS stress as a byproduct can cause higher levels of serotonin in the brain, which enhances arousal, but also increases perceptions of effort and peripheral muscle fatigue. So athletes' perception of their fatigue state is much higher. And doing lifts at near maximum requires significant elevated arousal and concentration. That said, there isn't good evidence that heavy lifting reduces the ability of the central nervous system to send adequate signaling. There is even evidence that low-intensity endurance training has more of a detrimental effect on the central nervous system than heavy squats or deadlifts, for example. A bigger component to physiological fatigue is not the CNS fatigue, but peripheral fatigue. Peripheral fatigue is defined as a reduction in efficacy of the neuromuscular junction and processes beyond the neuromuscular function as metabolic and biomechanical changes within the muscle. This is caused by an accumulation of hydrogen ions, calcium ions, an increase in potassium level, a reduction in glycogen intramuscular shunting, and even dehydration. Basically, the signals that generate muscle contraction can get impaired. Heavy, low repetition or explosive efforts do cause peripheral fatigue, but not as much as moderate load for higher repetitions. The highest amount of peripheral fatigue is caused by moderate loads between 70 and 85% of 1 RM taken to complete exhaustion. Some practical takeaways is that coaches and athletes should consider how close to failure they take repetition work. And the main takeaway is that athletes do not get a free pass on accessory work such as bodybuilding style training. Just because an exercise isn't complex, high-load exercise doesn't mean it won't possibly impair performance of the following training sessions and should be factored into the overall training volume. All sets should be counted as a fatigue-causing agent.